So it's pretty obvious the New York Football Giants are just not a very good football team as we speak today. Now, they do play Washington this week. They get them at home. I'm not too sold on Kyle Allen as quarterback. You know, the Washington's offense has really struggled this year, and New York's offense has struggled this year as well. So, you know, I could see the Giants potentially pulling off a win versus Washington, but a big reason why the Giants have struggled as a football team this year and why their offense specifically has been just flat out doo-doo. It's been garbage. It's stunk. It's not been good. Get it out of there. That offense has been bad. If anything, the Giants defense actually has been kind of the bright spot of their team, which is actually kind of surprising because that defense last year was a hot mess as well. But props to Patrick Graham. Props to, Dexter Lawrence. Props to James Bradbury. The Giants defense is actually a lot better than I thought. But I'm going to focus in on Saquon Barkley because I truly believe that one of the biggest reasons why the New York Football Giants offense is struggling right now is because Saquon Barkley, as we speak today, has a torn ACL. You know, I really didn't get a chance to cover this, in the last couple of weeks, but I thought it would be a fun topic to talk about today. You know, Saquon Barkley, obviously he's out for the season. Prayers up to Saquon Barkley. I hope he recovers from that ACL tear, and I believe that he will probably recover from that ACL tear because Saquon Barkley, he's a strong individual, and he's a guy that's hardworking. So I think that Saquon Barkley will come back and be a very serviceable running back. Don't know if he will quite be the same, just because, he has been nicked up a little bit in the past. But let me just say this, Giants fans, I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. This is not me bashing Saquon Barkley, but I truly believe that if the Giants want to get the most bang for their buck in regards to their football team and they want to, move forward and turn things around quickly, they should at least consider trading Saquon Barkley. Now, they're not going to trade Saquon Barkley this season because right now he's rehabbing and he's dealing with an injury. But at some point this offseason, the Giants need to at least put Saquon Barkley on the trading block. And I will tell you why. They need to look to trade him. I'll tell you why. Looking back at Saquon Barkley, when he was drafted in 2018, I firmly believe that was the wrong pick at number 2 overall. Here's what you people have to realize. I don't care who you are. I don't even care if you're a prime Adrian Peterson. You want to know why? Because Adrian Peterson, in an era where Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Peyton Manning were dominating, guess what? He won an MVP a couple years ago. And guess what? During that season, Adrian Peterson and the Minnesota Vikings, they won 0 playoff games. I don't care how great of a running back you are. Taking a running back at number 2 overall should never be the move. And I was not a fan of when the Giants picked Saquon Barkley number 2 overall. And I'm not a fan of it today due to the fact that Saquon Barkley had injuries last year and now he's got a torn ACL. What you have to understand is in the NFL, it's a quarterback and head coach driven league. And not to mention, I think that offensive lines and defensive lines, along with wide receivers, are more valuable to football teams than running backs. Running backs do not win Super Bowls. And I'll tell you why that is. Because when we look at the last 10 Super Bowl winners, the Packers, the Giants, the Ravens, the Seahawks, the Patriots, the Broncos, the Patriots again, Eagles, Patriots again, and Chiefs last year. Out of all 10 of those teams, I can only name one team that had an elite running back. Seattle, led by Marshawn Lynch. And until Russell Wilson got in that building, the Legion of Boom and Marshawn Lynch, they didn't have much success. They won a playoff game versus Drew Brees. Congratulations, but that was it. The Seahawks did not become a team that potentially could have won a dynasty until they got Russell Wilson in their building. And like I mentioned earlier, Adrian Peterson goes out there and wins the MVP in 2012. His team wins no playoff games. Saquon Barkley is still, in my opinion, one of the 3 best running backs in all of football. In fact, he won Rookie of the Year in 2018. That was all great and sweet. But now Saquon Barkley's got a torn ACL, and the way he plays, that's a concern. And not to mention he had a high ankle sprain last year. And Saquon Barkley's durability is now a question. And by the way, Saquon Barkley, even though he has those questions, guess what? I think Saquon Barkley, if he comes back this coming season healthy, he's going to ball out. And Saquon Barkley, he's eventually going to ask for Alvin Kamara or Christian McCaffrey money. You want to know why he's going to ask for that money? Because Saquon Barkley is just as, if not more talented than both those guys. I truly believe that Saquon Barkley at his best is the most purely gifted runner of the football in the NFL right now. Maybe not the most purely gifted runner, because I think that Ezekiel Elliott might be the best pure runner in the NFL. But as far as just overall ability when it comes to being a running back, Saquon Barkley might be the most naturally gifted running back in the NFL right now. But let's look at some of the players that the Giants could have had if they took someone else besides Saquon Barkley. They could have had Josh Allen, they could have had Lamar Jackson, or they could have had Sam Darnold. And right now, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are much more better quarterbacks right now than Daniel Jones. And while Sam Darnold, hasn't really panned out with the Jets, for what it's worth, last year, he went 7-6 as a starter with nothing around him. I don't know if Daniel Jones last year could have went 7-6 as a starter with the New York Jets roster. Daniel Jones turnovers continue to be a major issue. Okay, so you could have had an upgrade potentially at quarterback, right there. You look at some of the defensive players they could have drafted. They could have drafted Bradley Chubb. They could have drafted Roquan Smith. How great would it have been if the Giants could have got Bradley Chubb on their defensive line? Because right now, they don't have a legit pass rusher. Kyler Fackrell, Marcus Golden, they're not doing the job for me. The Giants could have drafted Quentin Nelson. They could have drafted Sony Michel or Nick Chubb. Let me ask you Giants fans this question. Let's say the Giants trade out of that number 2 overall pick and they get Quentin Nelson and they get Nick Chubb or Sony Michel in the second round. Would you rather have Quentin Nelson and Nick Chubb or just Saquon Barkley and no one else? I'd rather have Quentin Nelson and Nick Chubb. Or you could have potentially had Bradley Chubb and Nick Chubb as well. Or you could have Bradley Chubb and Nick Chubb or Bradley Chubb and Sony Michel potentially. The bottom line is the Giants could have gotten a serviceable good running back in that draft, and they did not need to take a running back at number 2 overall. That was the wrong pick. And I truly believe that they need to move off of Saquon Barkley because running backs don't win Super Bowls. In my opinion, the best way to go about things is running back by committee. Look at the Patriots during their dynasty run. It was all running back by committee. The Chiefs last year, they had a running back by committee set. I think you need to move off of Saquon Barkley. He's got an ACL injury, fragile ankles, and so far, the Giants haven't won a lot of games with Saquon Barkley. In fact, since 2017, the Giants have the worst record in the NFL. Saquon Barkley has not contributed to winning. So ultimately, I believe the New York Giants need to look to trade Saquon Barkley sooner rather than later. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juice Alert Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.